Alright, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
First and foremost, we like to begin by giving all praises, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakadash, but double honors to our elders and apostles of great men soon. And shalom to all you brothers around the four corners of the earth that are teaching this good gospel and sincerity and in all truth. Shalom. You brother, you're Ramiani brother.
Yaquam.
Back with another video here, right? Just with a quick lesson. Right, I none, but we could go to we could go into Job too. We did Job. I did one. I didn't get to do with brother, but we'll get to do two.
Right.
So we'll read two. But bear my fast seconds. Yeah, can. So I had to get the GNT here. Job 2. Right, so in Job 1, right, I was going to Job, when all he talked about, all the riches he have, and then he reached the point where he lost it, and then in the end, it says, when after all the messengers and them tell him what had happened, right, when he started to go through his tribulation, his fire, right, he fall, as it says, verse 20, then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. So when he came, out of his mother's womb, he didn't came with everything he had.
That's
right? All the riches.
Right? Do this lesson together and this Job 1.
Yeah, I know, but that's bringing a point, right? So in all the afflictions he went through in Job 1, right, in the first chapter, right, just the first chapter alone, right, in all that it did say, right, in all this Job sinned not nor charge Yahweh foolishly. So in all this he didn't say a word, he didn't charge the Lord and say, like he didn't say like, Lord, I was doing all this, I was a perfect and upright man, how you could do me this now?
No, he never say that.
He never said that. No, he did not sin.
That's
right. He fell at his ground and he worshipped. All praises be to Yahweh Shemir Shai.
That's right.
If you read it in 1, in the end, it says, he said, Job 1 and 21, he said, I was born with nothing and I will die with nothing. So he came in this world with nothing and he will die the same way. He will die likewise with nothing. The Lord gave and now he has taken away. Because we know the Lord does give and he does take away. You read 1 Samuel 2 and I think 8, right? The Lord could lift up, the Lord does lift up, and he does, he's lift up, he's put on.
Right.
I think that's it, right? And it says, and now he has taken away, may his name be praised. So, Job, and after he goes through all his tribulation, he said, praise be Yahweh Shemir Shai.
Right. Then turn his back, right?
Come. So, Job 2, because it's only 13 verses, so, Job 2, and verse 1, says, again, there was a day when the sons of Yahweh came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai, and the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Right? So just like the same thing when I read in 1, but 1 at 6, the same thing he said in 2, because he did try Job already and he come back to present himself again to the Lord. Right? And then he says, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Yahweh and escheweth evil, and still holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause? Read that in GNT. Verse 3. Job 2 and 3 in GNT. It says, did you notice my servant Job? The Lord asked, there is no one on earth as faithful and good as he is. He worships me and is careful not to do anything evil. You have persuaded me to let you attack him for no reason, because Job didn't sin. Right? So he was getting attacked for no reason. Right? He was being tried basically for no reason, because he didn't sin. He didn't do anything wrong. He was just a perfect and upright man, one that feared Yahweh. It says, and as it says, eschew evil, right? At all, right? But Job is still faithful as but Job is still as faithful as ever. So even though he went through all his tribulation and everything, right? He's still faithful because I think my wife and for his life. Now GNT says Satan replied, was following GNT, a person will give up everything in order to stay alive. But now, well, so I'm going to read the 2 verses there. I'm going to read the next verse. So Satan replied, a person will give up everything in order to stay alive, but now, suppose you hurt his body, he will curse you to your face. So Satan said, you have to, as it says, he will give up everything to stay alive. But now, as Satan said, you're supposed to hurt his body, you had to hurt his body. Right, and here what the Lord said to him. So the Lord said to Satan, alright, he's in your power, but you're not to kill him. So you can do him anything, bring any diseases, sicknesses upon him. Because what Satan does do is Satan did make him get boils on his skin. Right? And now the Lord said you could go and do anything. Right? I say he is in the power of your hand. Right? Alright. He is in your power. That's what the Lord said. But you're not to kill him. Right? So you can do anything you want, but just don't kill him. Right? Verse 7. King David says, So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. Right? And the crown will be a head. Right? So when you read it here, it says, Then Satan left the Lord's presence and made sore break out all over Job's body. So now he started to get a kind of like a disease, boils, right? And it says, verse 8, and he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse Yahweh and die. So that what I was talking about. His wife told him, just curse the Lord and die. You're going through all of these sufferings, just curse the Lord and die. Right? So that's what a normal person would do. Right? Verse 18 GNT says, Job went and sat by the garbage dump, and took a piece of broken pottery. And took a piece of broken pottery to scrape his sores. His wife said to him, You are still as ever, you are still as faithful as ever, aren't you? Why don't you curse Yahweh and die? So that his wife told him, just curse the Lord and die. You don't go through everything, you don't lose everything. Just curse the Lord and die. Why praise him? Verse 10, here he said, But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish woman speaketh. What shall we receive good at the hand of Yahweh, and shall not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips? And TNT says, Job answered, You are talking nonsense. When Yahweh sends us something good, we welcome it. How can we complain when he sends us trouble? Even in all this suffering, Job said nothing against Yahweh. So we know the scripture, out of the hand of the Lord has come both good and evil, because the Lord created both good and evil. So something back down real quick is Isaiah 45 and 7. It says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. So the Lord can give you peace, right? And he can give you evil, because that in the beginning of Job 1, it was saying about the peace he was living through and all the peace he had. What you're going to, the peace is just, going to back all the, I just using it as that, right? So he had the peace in the beginning, one that feared Yahweh, doesn't do evil, the street evil as it said, and then, he started get somebody evil now, right? started to get some because he had to go through. He went through the fire. First he was going through the green, and now he's going through the dry. Now he's losing everything. It's being tried. So the Lord created both darkness and as it says darkness. I make peace and create evil. I the Lord do all these things. So that was going on to Job. That was the Lord. Right? Trying Job. Right? Verse 11. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, he came everyone from his own place.
Then said his wife unto him,
Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, for they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and comfort him, because they heard of all the things he went through. He lost his servants, because he had a great abundance amount of servants, a big number amount of servants. He had cattle and all these different things. Right? So he was rich. Right? He was one of the richest man in the Middle East. Right? Salak in the East. Not the Middle East, in the East. Well, Salak, I don't think, because Job was in the land of Uz. And that would have been around, well, that thing that is the East. Right? Verse 12, and when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was great. So they saw that, he was going through. They saw his grief was very great. The countenance, he was known by the countenance, by his look. That was going on with Job. Right? He went through hell. Right? In GNT it says, heading for verse 11, those friends come. I'll just read 12. Right? While they were still a long way off, they saw Job, but did not recognize him, because Job did shave his hair and everything. It says he rent his clothes and everything. So Job was, he was looking not like Job. Right? When they did begin to weep and wail, tearing their clothes in grief, and throwing dust in the air and on their heads, then they sat there on the ground with him for 7 days and nights without saying a word, because they saw how much he was suffering. So they saw what Job was going through and say, yeah boy, really going through it. Right? And didn't say a word. Right? So that was Job chapter 2. Right? Come back with you, right? So hopefully it was edifying to Lord's elect. Right? Then all praises, all honor go to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Kakadash, double honor, so elders and apostles of great milestone and Shalom to all the brothers on the 488 that teaching this good gospel in all sincerity and all truth. Shalom, this brother here, here sign out saying Shalom to the elect, Shalom Labakaria, and death till wicked place. Shalom, man. As I always say, brothers, stay strong. Not always abounding work of the Lord. Yahweh Hashem and Shai. Fair labor is not in vain. Hold the faith and keep pushing the word. The Lord Yahweh Hashem and Shai. Alright, brothers. Shalom.